Hello, Mr. Micky Finn. Is that you, sir?
It is.
Awesome, man. Thank you for taking the time to chat. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Driving to Leeds, long journey.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I caught you on the road because that means we got some time to talk. I've got some fun personal questions to dive into, then some industry ones. Is that okay?
Yeah, man.
Okay, my first question to you is, if animals could talk, which animal do you believe would be the wisest?
If animal was God.
No, could talk. If animals could speak.
Oh, who would I like to have a conversation with?
Yeah.
Dogs.
Okay. Is there any particular reason? Do you have a dog?
Yes, I have 2 dogs. I am a dog person. I love dogs. I think they're brilliant. I used to breed dogs in the 80s. I used to breed Old English Bull Terriers, which are the ugly ones with a long snout, like in Oliver, you know?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what kind of dog you're talking about.
So I used to breed them in the 80s. Me and my partner had 5 of them.
Wow.
I've always loved dogs. I don't know if you see pictures that I put up on social media, but they are usually are my dogs where I walk them. I'm very, such a jet set life. Me as an international DJ, I just put pictures up of me dogs.
Well, that's the great thing about your social media is we actually become personable with you as a person rather than Micky Finn the artist.
Yeah, it just gets a bit boring, you know. It's just like, I don't know. And I'm not going to be a slave to social media and bow down to it, which I think a lot of people nowadays are.
I get what you mean. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. They try and appease to what they think people want to see rather than just being themselves. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, and not just the people. I just think the way, it just seems like social media is becoming very unsociable. You know, you see a group of friends like, and they're all on their phones on their separate social medias, and it's like, look at that group of friends being very unsociable with each other.
The irony. It's interesting too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a great. Sorry, go ahead.
I love dogs.
Well, and
dogs.
to go on to your answer, I love dogs too. The only reason why I wouldn't want to hear them speak is because I love them that much. And I'm just afraid that if they began speaking, I'd be like, oh man, I used to love you. So kind of like some women. No offense, ladies. No offense.
Personally, I love hearing my woman talk. You speak for yourself.
That's why that was totally the opinions of Aaron, not Micky.
Yeah, you got a beautiful dog. Is that your dog in your profile picture?
Yeah, he's his name is Greywind. He's an Alaskan Kleekai, which is a very rare breed. They look like miniature huskies. They're like 15-pound full-grown huskies.
Oh wow! So I have a Japanese Akita.
Okay, they're big.
Yeah, he's quite a big boy, and then I have a little brown one, which her mum is a golden doodle, and her dad is a Springer doodle. I don't know if you know what they are.
I do. I'm very familiar.
Okay. So she wasn't planned or anything. The woman had both dogs, so she is absolutely plugged into the wall. She's crackers.
Doodles are.
but she's great though. She's great. I love her to death. So yeah, I'm a dog person. And plus, I don't know if you know, I haven't had meat for over 20 years, and now I'm a practicing vegan for the last, 18 months or so. So I love animals.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. I've been vegan for about the same amount of time.
Yeah, I haven't had meat for over 20 years, but I still ate fish. I still ate all the byproducts, but now I just we just don't have nothing to do with none of them.
Good for you, man.
For health and for, I'm not going to get into philosophy, but who are we to say that they should be killed?
I hear what you're saying. Here's my thing, and I won't go too deep into it either, Micky, but one of the issues I have as a vegan is I do it for medical reasons. I don't do it for moral ones. And sometimes I disagree with some of the moral stipulations that other vegan friends have. Like they will believe that everyone should go on a non-meat diet. And I say to them, like, I have an iron issue. I have a calcium magnesium issue. I have a potassium issue. I have to have my blood checked every 6 months. And this is all because I'm on a very strict diet. So I would never expect other people to just do that. I do understand that meat has its value. I just think that we've gone over the top where people are eating steak and burgers every day. It's like, come on, there's got to be a balance.
Well, so I never give up for moral reasons. My dad had a lot of heart attacks and strokes before he left this earth. I don't drink. I got a bit of an head start. I gave up meat for the health reasons. I don't trust the supermarkets. I don't trust the farmers. You have got to put a lot of trust in someone. I'm a bit of an analyst, and the human body does not produce diseases, so you have to analyse. You might be born and you might have things, but actually diseases the human body's not born with, so therefore they can only come in from the outside. So I start analysing what goes into your body from the outside, and it's food. So I just watch what I eat, that's all. I'm quite... Come on.
Well,
sorry, mate.
No. And you know what, to go kind of sidebar from what you're saying, there's a great book called Guns, Germs, and Steel, which talks about basically why Western civilization and that place around the equator, if you will, tends to do a lot better than other parts of the world. No matter where they are, people in certain areas tend to do better. One of the things he blames it on is germs, and the fact that us as colonizers, living alongside animals, we grew to antibodies that as we migrated to other areas where they weren't colonized or farming, they didn't have the ability to fight the diseases that our bodies were fighting for thousands of years, right? So there's definitely validity in the statement that you're putting certain things in your body that, especially with where we live here in Canada and where you are in England, you have such a diversity that you have, you know, Indian food, Chinese food, Portuguese food, Polish food, Greek food, and your belly's just not used to digesting all those different foods. Like,
yes, right. Do you read?
I do, yes.
Get yourself a book called The China Study.
Say it again. What's it called?
The China Study.
Okay.
So he is an American farmer, cattle farmer, turned nutrition. He is mostly the best nutrition person in the world right now. He stopped cattle farming. He got into nutrition because of processed meat and how to do it properly. Aaron, have a read of it.
Well, do me a favor, Mickey. When we're done talking, can you send me the name and the title in an IM, and I'll share it with my listeners too.
Yeah. China is in the country. Study is what you do in university. The China Study.
What's it called? Say the last part again.
The China, as in the country.
Yeah.
And study is what you do at university. The China Study.
Okay. The China Study.
So basically, it went on for about 27 years. This village, 10% animal protein. This village, 20% animal protein. 20% animal protein up the road, heart attacks, cancer, everything that went with it. 10% animal protein, shiny coats, everything normal, no diseases. Exactly the same diet, Aaron. So basically what he's saying is the human body can only break down 10% of your daily food intake can be meat. You go over 10% and you're asking for trouble.
I think that, yes.
Cells start forming, and anyway, let's get back on.
Well, yeah, okay. Let's get into the industry, but I just want to concur with your last statement that I naturally feel that statement is true. It's great to hear there's a book out there that can confirm some of those beliefs, and especially one that's exaggerated as to over 27 years. That's awesome. But okay, let's dive into some industry questions. Michael, if I can call you that. If I'm not mistaken, your sister created the name Micky for you. Is that right in saying?
Well, Mickey's short for Michael. She called me Micky Finn.
And when she called you Micky Finn, how did she spell it? Because I must have seen Micky Finn spelled 4 different ways when I was looking you up.
Well, because we're Cockneys and we don't pronounce our THs become Fs. We don't pronounce Thursday would be pronounced F-U-R by Cockney. They got no roll of the strict pronunciation of the TH.
Okay.
So I spelled it the way I say it, the way Cockney say it, Micky Fit, F-I-N-N.
All right.
It means skinny. She named me because I'm skinny and fit, but I spelled it the way that a Cockney would say it.
Well, and you know what? I didn't have this question written down, but with him just being here, I have to ask: is Logan D your son?
He is my son, my real son. He is not. Yes, he's my son.
Yes, he is my son. And you know what? It dates you in a sense that it's amazing that we can have. There's a couple other DJs, I don't need to go down the list, that guys like yourself who are pioneers of our scene but have now somewhat passed the reins on to their offspring, and Danny's rinsing it out better than, I'm sorry, you did sometimes.
Yeah. Danny's killing it right now.
He is. He's doing a great job. I don't know, have you had a chance to talk to him since his trip to Toronto?
I saw him the other day quickly.
Did he happen to share how it was? Did he talk about our city in any way?
He's been there loads of times. Yeah, I just asked him how it was. He said, yeah, it was really good. But obviously what's gone on out there has overshadowed quite a bit. What the fuck? Man, it's even reaching the shores of Canada now. Yeah,
I don't want people to get messed up on that. The guy who did what he did in Toronto was crazy. He wasn't a terrorist. We didn't get attacked by ISIS.
Okay.
Without getting too detailed into the specifics, the guy was Armenian and he was a Toronto-born native, and he did it because he was part of a group that they call incel, which means involuntary celibates, which is basically a group of jackass males who are misogynistic to the point where they incite violence on women, and because they can't get laid. Right? They're part of this involuntary celibacy. It's like, so this is a sexually frustrated, ostracized individual who just snapped one day and rented a car and took out a bunch of innocent people. He's an asshole. He's not part of any movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still horrible, though. Yes, it is. It is horrible what happened. But okay, back to the industry. What was your first? I'm dying to ask you this question. What was your first rave experience? Do you remember it?
Yeah, a little club in London, 1987. Yes, I remember it very well, like it was last night. Like I suppose most people would have that memory. First time I took ecstasy, and I was like, wow, I like this. Not the ecstasy, just the everything that went with it. The club vibe, I don't know. I weren't used to that kind of clubbing. Clubbing like that weren't going on in London. It was very, a white club, a black club. This side of London people there, that side of London. So it was all new, brand new, and very exciting for me. So it kind of consumed me, like it did a lot of people, I suppose.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting you say that. I never thought of it like that, but the rave is still somewhere I like to say we can go and put all that political stuff that separates us on the outside world aside, and everyone...
I mean, it brought a lot, I'm just saying how London was before that scene come along. It was very, I don't know, if you was from this side of the water, or you was this colour, or you supported this football team, it was very... It was them in there and us in there and them over there, and the ecstasy scene in 1987, 1988 changed all of that. It didn't matter what colour you was, it didn't matter where you was from, it didn't matter what football team you supported. Anything that maybe would have been a thing to cause trouble was all put to bed. Everyone loved each other, it was a brand new, and you're talking just ecstasy at the moment. You haven't had introduction of when coke come into the scene at that point. So it's very all love rather than, I don't know, I'm not saying that coke fucked it up, but it showed its face in the early 90s and it kind of changed things a little bit. But that's me being brutally honest and my experience of.
No, I love it. I love that you are being, because a lot of the artists I speak to aren't willing to, I guess, be as bold and blunt. Definitely for
Fuck that. Ain't worth doing it. You're either going to speak the truth or it's not worth doing the interview, because it becomes, well, yeah, you just can't do the interview right yourself and then I'll just approve it and sign it off.
I appreciate that you think that way, because it's true. I could just fill in all the blanks and be like, hey, Micky, do you approve of this? Yeah, go ahead. There's nothing bad. Go ahead. But this is genuine.
Yeah, I'd rather not do it. That's bogus.
Well, thank you.
You know.
And yeah, no, I want to add on to that about what you said about coke maybe not being worse. Yeah, it is. I do know what you mean. If you have a party where a bunch of people are doing ecstasy, and let's talk the late 80s, I wasn't there, but that would be a lot different than even if you had a bunch of people doing acid. Like, acid is still, but they bring different vibes, right? So if you've got a room full of, there's actually a guy who did a funny joke about going on a fishing trip with a buddy of his, and there were 4 guys going up north and they were fishing together, and their buddy was supposed to bring some marijuana, some weed. But when they got up there, he said, oh shit, the guy I went to, he didn't have any weed, all he had was ecstasy. So I bought us like 10 ecstasy pills. And he's like, what am I going to do in a fishing hut with 4 of my guy friends high on ecstasy? And it's so true. It's not the right environment for that, right?
Fucking hell, that's brilliant. Look, stroke the fish, don't catch the fish, let him go. No, don't even put the hook in the water. You can't do that. It was a great, but you know, it was 30 years ago. I've been doing this for 30 years now. I had friends going to me, get a proper job, what's the matter? It ain't going to last a year. Well, I'm 30 years down the road and I'm now on my way to work still, so.
You know what, and let me say something, I like, not to make your head too big, but I was honored that you agreed to talk to me. You're actually, what my hairstylist told me when I began this podcast a while ago. He said, if you ever interview Micky Finn, I'll tune in. Because I said, do you listen to my podcast? He goes, I don't listen to the shit you do, but I'll tell you what, man, if you ever interview Micky Finn, you tell me. So when you agreed to talk, I sent him the little blurb, and he's like, okay, tell me when it's on. So right now there's someone with a pair of scissors in their hand and an hairdryer in the other one, laughing his arse off, yeah? Not yet. We're not broadcasting live.
Not right.
Oops.
When he listens.
Yes. When he finally gets it, he will be laughing his arse off, and hopefully not while he's cutting my hair. With that, I've got to ask you: when you began producing, spinning, what was your mission statement? Why did you get into the entertainment rather than just the raver side of things?
Do you know what? You know, very simply, I thought the music around that time was a bit mediocre, and if this is what's going on, I think I can go in the studio and do it myself. It was literally, and that's the first time that I made a decision to go into the studio and make shit breaking up. Are you still there?
I'm here, yes.
Oh, right, sorry. I've never been in a studio before. Thought, I want to have a go at making a tune and see what it comes out like. I know what I want to hear. I know the samples. I've got a lot of samples here. I ain't got a clue how to use any of the equipment. I hired a studio. I hired an engineer, and shit breaking up. The boombox was delivered. You know, I honestly, I don't come from a musical background. I love music, don't get me wrong, but there was no one in my family that was into music. Criminals, loads of them. Musicians, none of them. But I'm a kind of, if you don't try it, you don't know person. I ain't afraid of failure. I'm prepared to give it a go. And if it don't work out, I'll knock on the next door, and I'll knock on the next door, and I'll, you know. And sometimes no makes me stronger. I just wanted to give it a go. I can't. There's too many people sitting there and wonder what would have happened if I would have given it a go. I'll just give it a go, and then we know what happened. And I think of a lot of people just weren't afraid to just give it a go. and then you know if you can, succeed or fail. I've had plenty of fails. Trust me, I've had plenty of fails. But that's life.
Do you find? Sorry, go ahead, Micky.
No, go on.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, you talk about your boldness in the younger years. Do you think that it was easier at a younger age to make those decisions, to be as bold and as, like, hey, I think I can do better than you and I'm going to do it, than maybe today in your older years? Or do you think you still have that tenacity?
I don't quite understand the question. Say that again, sorry.
No problem. Do you think that it was easier because you're saying that you recognized something that you felt that you could add a value to, and you just went ahead and did it? You went to a studio, you got an engineer, you began producing and releasing. Do you think that that was easier because you were in your younger years? Like, do you still see yourself today making that same approach to things that you see short?
I totally make that same approach today. I mean, I'm involved in a few businesses that obviously are not just about this industry. Sunbeam, for example, for someone to go out to Ibiza, which is a house Mecca island, and try and do drum and bass holidays is a big risk. I like taking a risk. It kind of turns me on. Once I'm stuck in safety town, I call it, I kind of get a bit bored. And if I get bored, I'll start losing attention. I'll start not concentrating. So I love to be challenged. I don't like things that are a bit of a foregone conclusion. I might say go against the grain for the sake of going against the grain, but taking a drum and bass holiday out to what is known as the house Mecca of the world, Ibiza, it was not heard of. So let's give it a go. Ibiza is a beautiful place. I know it. I know the clubs. I know the owners. Our people will love it. Why has it got to stay for house people? We've been going there 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
The punters love it, the club owners love our lot. It just, I think it's just installed as me as part of my DNA and I don't know if you want to call it kicking open doors and, trying to do new things and doing healthy things for the scene and myself, because like I said, if I don't kind of move along, I get a bit bored and lose interest.
Well, it's awesome, man, and you're someone whose name has stayed fresh over. I've been listening to you for 20 years now, and you're always fun to throw on, and yeah, it's always something new. I don't know about all your touring and stuff. That is interesting to hear. But yeah, I can't help but wonder if you become complacent. It's so nice to know that you don't. With that, I've got to ask. What kind of advice would you give to other artists that are starting off that would want to make a 20-year career out of this?
That is I'm a couple of generations. If you think, so Danny's out there DJing, and Danny's now got a new lot coming underneath him. So if Danny's got a new lot coming underneath him, and I'm over the top of Danny, as in how long I've been doing it, I'm a couple of generations on. If we look at it as family generations. When I started, I think getting into the game was mostly a lot easier because there wasn't so many of us to choose from. Now there's a million of them to choose from. Dedication. You've got to have serious dedication. If you think this thing's going to happen overnight, some people it does for them. Don't plan that journey for it to happen overnight. Don't get disheartened by it. You just got to keep digging in there. Every one of us that's mostly where we are now, all had to dig in there. It weren't someone pulling up to you at a bus stop and said, there you go, your life's sorted out. We all had to dig in and work hard. Get your mixes out to promoters. Your social media seems to be very, very important now, which just sad because some people are booked on how good they are on social media rather than what they can do in the club or on the dance floor, which I don't quite get that. That's foreign to me. I think it's quite sad on the promoter's behalf that it will totally zone into how much social media they've got. How active are they on social media? It's like that kind of, for me that's been doing it for 30 years, it's quite sad to think that there's someone out there that's more than capable to do the job, but because their social media isn't as on point as someone, they don't get it. I won't mention names, but there's quite a few DJs out there that fall into that boat.
Yeah, I think
I get that social media is a big part of it, but it's not the be all and end all of it. You know, it just, I don't come from that world, so I understand it. Of course I do. I use it as a promo tool. Of course I do. But I'm not going to be a slave to it like I see some people are. It's like they have an affair with their chair. They don't get out of their chair. They're just totally on social all the time. And I'm not going to be a slave to it to the degree of his whole life under the spotlight. I'm quite a private person to a degree of, you know, don't get me wrong. I'd rather put pictures up of my dog than me. There you go, that's you know, I enjoy putting pictures up of my dogs more than what I'd get out of uploading pictures of myself, and I don't know, just maybe I just got a bit of a problem selling myself like some people haven't.
Well, one thing I was going to say is I think there is a bit of a sickness when you go past the line of social media, like you're talking about people don't get out of their chairs. Some people are actually narcissistically addicted to how many likes they can get or how many friends they can obtain.
Yeah, like whores, I call them. Like whores.
There you go. But okay.
You have to call them down off a bridge because they never got so many likes. It's like, come on. There's a bit more to life than that shit, surely. Sorry for swearing.
No, go ahead, swear all you want, Mickey. Two things that jump out to me as a DJ. I think I'm not a DJ myself, but I think DJs believe they need to do these things in order to be successful, and I want to know if you agree. Do you think that in order to be a successful DJ, you need to have either your own dub plates or someone else's and tour a lot? Or do you think those are two key ingredients to a successful DJ?
No. Is my simple answer. Dub plates don't matter difference. You can mostly, I think a talented DJ makes a good DJ. You know, technically, I am not the tightest of mixers. It's about your tune selection as well. I could name other. You know, it's not just about. For me, I'm a club DJ. I like to see people dance on the dance floor. I like to see people who have worked all week have a good time. You know, I'm a kind of. I'm a short and quite. Very short, sweet and simple. That's my job, to go in there, you know. So let's take another person. He might not have the freshest music. Sometimes I'll play some records tonight that are 15 years, 20 years old. So it's about your talent for me. It's about how well you put that journey of music together.
And how about,
you know, I hear people double dropping out of the gaff, and sometimes you're like, dude, let the record breathe. You know, it's not about your technical ability sometimes, and don't get me wrong, when they work well together, that's the nuts, but it's just about that for me. I don't know, short and simple, you're there to make people dance on the dance floor with great tune selection. Your technical ability is spot on, or it ain't 10 out of 10, your tune selection will back you up. For me, anyway, that's where I come from.
And how about touring, Mickey? Do you think touring is something that you need to do?
Touring, is saying that mostly it just comes on the back of, you know, I think it's a thing that gets demanded by your public once you become, I don't know, I think touring would come after the success of Arthur, you know, you as a DJ, rather than you running round the place trying to market yourself to maybe people that potentially don't know you and you getting disheartened. I don't know. Maybe again it's where I come from, but I thought a tour would come to you and be demanded out of you. So, for example, when I was wanted out in Canada, it became a demand that the Canadian people wanted to see Micky. Not, don't take this the wrong way, it wasn't that Micky wanted to go to Canada, it was that Micky was in demand by the Canadian promoters. You know, I don't know, I think I'd be looking at the other way, personally.
No, I think that's very valid advice.
Own your craft, you know. You've got many things out there now where you have got a platform with social, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, where you put your mixes. It's about getting them mixes out there and getting them heard. For me, that is the way that's the only way I can comment. It's the only way I did it.
Well, and it's the truth.
Danny might have a completely different approach because he come a few years down the road. Yeah, well, you know, quite a few years down the road after me.
Well, no, but I think there's validity in that when Micky Finn came to Toronto for the first time, it wasn't because Micky Finn hopped a plane and came out here and said, "Hey, Toronto, I'm here. Do you want to perform? Can I perform somewhere, please?" It was that your tapes somehow made their way. This is pre-internet, so your tapes made them into people's pockets, who made them over the seas,
Exactly.
And people said, "Who's this Micky guy? Get him on a plane. We want him here." So that's how you got here.
Exactly. So if you then take my tapes over to mixes of how people would spread their word, you know, I don't know. Right now I'll be going into the promoters at a low end. Right now, if I'm looking at it like a YTS or you call it an internship, I'll work for the promoter for nothing. Because right now for me it's about getting that name out there in lights. So as if you can get on as many flyers as possible, that ain't doing you no harm. If you don't earn no money from it, look at it as a marketing exercise. It's not about money right now. That can come down the road. Get yourself out there. Don't look at pricing yourself out of it right now, because that promoter can do more for you than what you can do for that promoter right now, is my honest answer. So be smart, offer yourself to people. Yeah, I'll do the warm-up set, no problem. Yeah, I'll do the warm-up set again, no problem. Get your name on the flyers. Get your name on the flyers. Let people keep seeing that name.
And this is for our beginning artists, okay? These aren't for people who've been doing this for 20 years and are still trying to get their name. Maybe you should find a new hobby if you've been doing this 20 years and you still haven't gotten your name on a flyer. But for our new people...
You know, I would be looking at myself and going, right, what did I do? Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that hung around. Okay, I'll tell you a name that was around for quite a while before he smashed out through Friction. Ed has been around a long time, years and years and years before Friction become Friction and blew wide
Didn't he
open.
win, hold on, Micky, didn't he win best DJ in like 2003 or something at the D&B Awards? DJ Friction? If I'm
talking Ed's been around like since the 90s.
Okay, I get you. Okay.
What I'm saying is there's people that have been around hanging for the peripheral edge, let's call it, or just not quite banging through to the status they are now. I don't know, let's take that DJ that you just said that's been hanging around for 20 years. How hard have you tried to get through to promoters with the right language? As in, just offering yourself, not, you know, some people think, I've been around for 20 years, why ain't I on that flyer? Well, maybe because of the way you just put that and that attitude is the exact reason why you're not on that flyer. So just maybe, you know, I would look at, right, what have I been doing for 20 years? Have a look at my little marketing exercise, and if it's been 20 years and I ain't getting no work yet, I'll either give up or I've got to look at what I've been doing wrong.
I think attitude is a big one. I think you hit a nail on the nose by saying some people just have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, and promoters don't want to work with them.
They don't. They're like anyone. I'm a promoter. Why do I want to work with someone that's fucking, sorry to swear, why do I want to work with someone that's hard work? You don't. You want to work with people that are good to work with, that are on time, that are reliable, that say they're going to be here when they're going to be here. Don't take their job seriously. And, mate, I don't drink. If people want to roll around on the floor with front out their head, good luck to them. While you're working for me, I expect you to be a bit professional, just like any other job in the world. Take it professionally. You know, I've seen a lot of people take it for granted, you know, just very unprofessional looking when they act all shabby and drunk while they're trying to DJ. Is just disrespectful in my eyes.
Well, there you go. That's another thing then. Remember, this is a job and it's a profession. Take it seriously or nobody will take you seriously. I've got...
Well, you're disrespecting them people out there because they might pay money to come and see you. Go get drunk afterwards. You want to go and get drunk? Go do it afterwards. Do your job as professionally as you possibly can. Then go and do what you go and have fun. Do what you want to do.
Well, it's almost like if you worked at a restaurant, you wouldn't finish your shift and then in uniform go sit at one of the tables and start ordering drinks and get slaughtered at the table after waiting tables. So why do that at a place even though you're done performing? If you want to do that, leave the environment. Don't let them see you like that. But anyways, I got two final... Go ahead.
If you went to pick your car up and the mechanic was under your car drunk, what would you think? Well, there you go. There you go. Don't expect it. You know, me as a promoter, I'm quite fair and just have the time of your life, but do your job professionally, please.
Totally. Two final questions for you, Micky, and then I'm going to let you go. Okay? What has been the highlight of your career so far?
Okay. One of them, so I kind of grew up on a lot of different musics. I love Bowie, I've got a broad spectrum of music background.
Hold on, you said David Bowie and then you cut out. Who did you say David Bowie and who?
So David Bowie, Lou Reed.
Okay.
Live music, electronic music, black music. Like I like jazz. So anyway, Glastonbury 2001, when me and Gavin Aphrodite closed the dance tent on Sunday night. When we finished, the stage manager come up to me. She went, "Micky, you won't believe it." She went, "David Bowie just run up to me and went, what the F is going on in this tent? Like, my tent backs onto it, all I can hear is foggles. I can't believe the noise that's coming out of his tent." I went, "You're joking." He went, "Who's playing in there?" She went, "Micky Finn and Aphrodite." And David Bowie went, "Who the F's Micky Finn and Aphrodite? All I can hear is like England football teams in there." I was like, "That's brilliant. I love that. That will stay with me forever."
That is amazing. Did you actually get to meet him? Did he?
No, I didn't get to meet him. I grew up on Gary Newman. I got to meet Gary Newman at a concert. We had a little chat backstage, which was quite cool because I was into him when I was like 14, 15, you know. Mm-hmm. He was mostly one of my first electronic. You know, after having, my mum's in Motown, when you ain't got no choice, you're literally having Motown shoved down your throat, which I'm not against, I loved it. My mum was the one who introduced me to rap music. But then when I kind of started getting my own mind, I was really into Gary Newman. So I was maybe 11, 12. Yeah, about 11, 12 I'd say. So that was quite cool to meet Gary Newman as, you know, one of me childhood, not idol, but I love Gary Newman and the Pleasure Principle when I was a kid.
It's cool listening to the people I idolize, listening to them talk about who they idolize. It's neat.
Yeah. So like, you know, I get it. Like, I've got mates that come out of me and they're like, who I grew up with, right? And they just can't get their head round that, you know, people want to have their photograph taken with you, or can you sign this for me, Mick? And then they're laughing at me, right? They're standing there like, look at this tosser signing photographs or signing autographs and having pictures took with them where they've just known me since I was 10 or whatever, right? I'm like, look, if it makes them happy and it made them happy like if I would see someone I was into as a kid, oh my God, look at that traffic jam. Sorry.
I was like...
I'm sorry.
I guess we can extend this conversation for a while.
Good cutaway. Sorry, I just saw red lights in front of me and I'm like, oh, Jesus. So, yeah, mate, I get it. I totally, you know, if it makes someone's day that, you know, they want something signed or a photograph, I'm totally down with it. I'm not against it. Do I mind if I'm one of them people that don't get asked for them and don't get photographs of them? No, I'm not. I'm also down with that. So I'm the person that will just, I'm not into it, you know what I mean? I got into it because I like playing records. Not to be a star. When me, Groove, Frost, there was none of this big DJ thing, you know? It was never on the horizon. There was no superstar DJs, or if you want to call them in that kind of league. We just got into it because we loved music and we loved the vibe of the parties that were going on. You know, what it turned into for us was all a bonus.
I hear you, man. It was nobody saw what was coming, right?
Yeah, I think if you kind of got your mindset on, I don't know, like, I've seen it like more, it's almost like a thing to be famous, or, you know what, do what you love, and if it ends up going somewhere, and your art's in it for the right reasons, and you're really talented and you know, determined, it will happen. But people that want to get into it for the wrong reasons, I just think, is it really going to happen to you, or will it last that long because your head's in the wrong place?
Well, that's a profound statement.
You know, for me, it's about the music.
No, I think I think that's very deep.
I've seen some beautiful countries, yours included. You know, mate, I've still got my feet on the ground. I totally appreciate the chance I've been given in life, and I think a lot of people, they maybe it's because me, Groove, and Fabio, and certain people have been there for that long that we totally respect it, and some people have almost, if we call it a motorway, they've jumped on halfway up the motorway rather than we jumped on at the bottom, and we're there for the whole journey. I'm not knocking them, but I've seen some people with the wrong attitude for why they're in it, you know. And they show their true colours. They will drop their. I think they will show their true colours and drop their guard. If it's not about the scene and the music that they're in it for.
Well, one thing I say, to go back to your statement, I think it's a very deep statement to say that if the music needs to be your primary incentive. I find that, you know, when you're trying to make a good song because you want to make a good song. If you're trying to make good money, then you're going to make a shitty song. But if you make a good enough song, you'll make good money making it. But you've got to look at what your incentive is, like you said. If you're in it for something other than the music, people are going to feel it in your music. It's going to be distorted. And I deeply do agree with you that you need to look at what your what's your primary motivation for doing this. And if it's not the music, reevaluate your decision, right?
So, I mean, you know, good luck to them, but I got into it because I love playing records. Short short and sweet of it is that I loved playing music. I loved playing this music. I loved, you know, me and Groove would do 5 hours in a place years ago. We'd get, I don't know, in Canadian dollars, we'd get 50 quid. What's that, $100?
Yeah, about $100.
And me and Groove would come out there at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd go and spend that $100 on records. You know, 8 o'clock in the morning, we'd go uptown. It was just everything revolved for me, and I'm for Groove, and I can definitely vouch for other people. It's about the music. It was about the love of this great scene that we was all part of. You know, it was a brand new scene of music, and I'm going way beyond jungle even, let alone drum and bass. I'm going back to house days. You know. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it's like any business. Different things are going to come along. Maybe Micky's seen as a bit of a stick in the mud now, and I don't know. I've got some people. I've got certain morals. I don't know. I'm not judging other people. I can only really speak for myself and what I've got into it for.
I hear you, man. Well, okay. Last question for you, Micky. If you could put 5 items into a vault that would encapsulate our rave culture, what would those 5 items be?
Okay. That captures our rave culture. An ecstasy tablet.
There you go.
A Technics turntable. A cassette. A flyer. And a glow stick.
Nice. That was a great 5. That was. Let me ask you though. Okay, you said 3 kind of broad things that I want to narrow in on. Is there a specific ecstasy tablet you remember?
I'll tell you what. There was these things in. There was these things. Now I don't condone taking drugs. I can tell you that I have took them, and I've took loads. I got into drugs at a young age. I experimented with drugs since I've never really drunk. I got into experimenting with drugs. Like, I've been smoking weed since I was about 13, and I still do.
Nice.
So I remember these ecstasy tablets in the late 80s that were called Calis, which was short for Californian. Way before the dubs, rhubarbs, I don't know what things you had over there that were great, but these Calis, if you took one, you was a serious drug taker, let alone half. I'm talking these things you had half, and you was up 10 o'clock the next morning dancing to police sirens. Whatever went past that made a light and a noise, you would have danced to it. Police car went past en route to somewhere, you was dancing. Mate, they was unbelievable. That was the beginning of the ecstasy explosion for me.
Okay, and you mentioned cassette. Is there a specific mixtape that you wish either you still own and you can't stop playing, or you wish you could get your hands on? Like the one that...
Not really. I just look at how quite important they was as a marketing tool to spread the word. Well, you put on it earlier. It was through people in Canada hearing Micky's tapes. So there you go. There's just one arm where the cassette reached. So that is why I'm saying the importance of the cassette to do with the rave culture and its actual arms spreading out and its wings spreading. I personally put that down to the tapes, boxes, and not just into your country, getting to different parts of this country, and then you're talking about the generation behind that can't go out, that are still at school. Like, I don't know how old you are, but when I was a kid, we was playing swapping trump cards and shit. Apparently, the other generation, they were swapping tapes and stuff. Like, I've had people go, oh, you don't believe how big your tapes was in my school. We all used to swap them, and so the cassette for me is quite paramount on how much our scene grew. And that's why I put it in there as quite a major contestant. And the same with the flyer. You know, you think how prolific flyers are and what they, you know, how important they were to our scene. Not so much now because it's all on a lot online and stuff, but to our rave scene, our rave culture, huge.
Yeah, and you know what? My first Micky Finn tape, as you're saying it, was MCGQ and Micky Finn. You guys had actually like mass produced it. This was a studio album, and there was a lot of reverb, I remember, and I just remember that was my first tape. But it wasn't a from a party. It wasn't like most rave tapes where they were like
Studio mix.
It was a studio mix, yes.
Dreamscape thing?
That's it. That's what it was. Dreamscape.
Okay.
When is that from,
Yeah,
Micky?
yeah.
Do you remember what year that is?
Ooh. So how long you been going out? Well, that was past millennium, right? That weren't 90s. That was early 2000s, was it? Or
That sounds about right.
my
My first party,
Yeah.
my first jungle party was in 1999, but it wasn't on purpose. I was there to see Daft Punk, and I was into happy hardcore music.
Okay.
I ended up stumbling into the DJ Hype GQ room, and I was like, "What's this music?" And it wasn't even. I say to people, it wasn't the music. I actually didn't like the music at first. It was the people. It was like, wait a second, I like these people a lot more than the people I'm hanging out with right now. So I got, and then before you know it, people were handing me tapes and CDs, and I remember somebody had given me yours. And it's interesting that you're friends with Aphrodite, because your sounds were very similar. Even at a young age, I was like, these two guys sound a lot different than everyone else. It was a much different sound. So I didn't know you guys were really that close, but I guess
Yeah, we're partners.
that's good to know.
Yeah, we've been partners for, well, since Urban Shakedown. We're partners in the agency. We're still partners now. We're actually going to get back in the studio.
Awesome. When can we expect something from
Yeah.
you guys?
Well, he has moved, so he's just setting up his studio again. So I'm told him, get your studio set up, get comfortable with the sound, and I am going to come down there and let's get busy, because it's been too long.
Well, that's good to
So
know.
I'm back in the studio with El Double, so I'm back in the studio having a little go, but I'm working on a few different projects that's got nothing to do with the industry, that's taking a bit of my time up. Still to do with music, but I won't go into it. It's a bit of it's going to be a bit of a surprise.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm gonna sign off for my listeners. Can you just stay on the phone with me though? Stay right there.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, hold on one sec. All right, guys, that was a chat. Me and Micky Finn. Hopefully he'll come back and do it again, and hopefully I can get Mr. Aphrodite to do this too. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, peace out.